You miss all that today. Yesterday you was in the back smoking weed at the barbecue.
Yeah, you wanted a million and you show it. What you want, is it really that important? You've been on my mind.
Hi, my name is Kimberly. For anyone new here, thank you so much for clicking onto my channel. And without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about what I wanted to talk about. So the other day I did a video. It was called 6 Ways to Reinvent Yourself or something like that. If that's not it, it's real close. I'll put the card up here. And I was looking back at the video and I thought, yeah, that's not, that I didn't like it. Let's just say I didn't like it. And I think the main reason I didn't like it was I thought, okay, going into 24, I'm going to be more organized. I'm going to make a list and I'm going to read off of the list. I'm going to make sure that I give my audience, you know, the 1, 2, 3s, the ABCs and all of that. And it just is not my style. If you've been watching me for a little while, you know that I pretty much just talk off the top of my head. Sometimes that goes well, sometimes it takes a winding path, but always it's authentically me. And I think the biggest problem I have with that video is it didn't really feel authentically me. It felt a little bit stiff and all the things, right? And so I thought, how can I make that better? And one of the things I came up with was, instead of trying to list 6 things, I could segregate those things and talk more in depth about it. Because even as I looked at me talking about those 6 things, I didn't really go into the depth that I wanted to go into. And don't worry, I'm still going to try to keep these videos short, but work with me here. Here's my thinking. I was like, instead of coming up with 6 whole things or a whole list, breaking it down, doing one by one, and just going into a different series of how to better ourselves. And I'm corny. If you're new, I'm also corny. And just naming that series Happy New You. You know, we're saying Happy New Year and all that stuff. And so I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna be very honest. I tried doing a June vlog. That didn't go well. I got incredibly sick, had to squelch that, and this was very, very new. I'm talking like I've been at YouTube for a minute. I ain't even been at it for a year. But anyway, this is just a couple of months after I started YouTube. I'm like, I'm gonna jump into daily vlogging. What was I thinking? I don't know. It didn't go well. Got sick, couldn't do it. And so then I thought, okay, Vlogmas, I'll do that. Everybody does Vlogmas. How hard can it be? Very, very, very. And that didn't go well either. I was working and doing all of that. So here we are just a month later, and I'm still thinking that I want to do this Happy New You series. I've not seen it before. I'm trying out something, and I just kind of want to talk about various things that I think we women need to hear. Sometimes we need to rehear it. You may have heard some of this before, but it doesn't hurt to have a refresher. And for some, I know that it's brand new. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And first on the stop for me has to be introspection. And so that's exactly what I want to talk about right here and right now. And if that sounds like something in which you'll be interested, please stick around. I encourage you. I also need to warn you though, now the road is going to be winding. I'm not sure that I'm going to stay on topic. And that's so sad to say, because I ain't got but one topic. One, introspection. Can you stick to that? Probably not. Just being, keeping it a buck with you, probably not. But anyway, I just feel like, let me get into introspection. See how I already, yeah. All right, so just speaking on introspection, I think it's important that you know who you are. Definitely you know who you are. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not ordained and all those other things. But suffice it to say, I do believe in me some God. I do indeed. And so every once in a while, you might hear me saying something in reference to that. And if that's offensive to you, I can't even apologize like I'm not sorry. What did I say? Sorry, I'm not sorry? I'm not. I am not. But anyway, I think it's important that you know who you are internally, because everything else is going to be centered around that, right? Who are you? And then not only who are you, how do you know? How do you know you're what you say you are? Like I hear people say, I'm a girl's girl, I'm a ladies' lady, I support women, I this, that, and the third. And yet they can't find an example, a solid example of when, where, and how they support women. You know what I mean? Like, I hear you saying you're a girl's girl. That's a great thing to say. I think it sounds fan-freaking-tastic to say that. But are you really?
Like when nobody's watching, are you really that supportive person? Are you really that supportive friend? And I hope so. But how do you know? And so if you don't know this about me, I'll tell you now. I'm a person who likes to write things down. Now they call it brain dumping, but for me, it just provides clarity and it frees my mind up to do other things and to think about other things. You know, like I've already got this locked down. So what else can I do? What else can I conquer? And that's my mindset of writing. So I kind of want to write things down and thinking of introspection and who you are and how you know you are. What I would suggest is in one space, write down your attributes. Are you a kind person? Okay, great. Write that down. You kind. Are you generous? Okay, I see you generous. Thank you. And let me leave my P.O. box down below in case you feel like being generous with me. But anyway, so you're kind, you're generous. You got all these things going on. The next thing I would ask is, how do you know that about yourself? Like, what's the last kind thing you did? I'm waiting. But anyway, write that down in the next area. What's the last generous thing you did? So in other words, it's one thing to say that you're this person, but how do you actually know? Like for me, one of the things I would say is I enjoy being supportive. I enjoy helping my community. My very job is one that helps my community. And typically I help my community, I help the youngest members of my community. But even now, as I sit down and I do these videos, I feel like I need to be able to offer something. Here you are, you have voluntarily clicked onto my video. You have voluntarily offered some of your time. And to me, time is the biggest thing you got going. Like for all the other things you have all these rich people in the world, like Steve Jobs even, one of the, arguably a very rich person. And yet he couldn't buy himself more time. So that's how I know time is extremely valuable. The fact that you clicked onto my video tells me that I want to be able to offer you something, hopefully a smile, a laugh, or some information, a reminder. You know what I mean? So in this way, in space, I feel like I want to serve my community. So if I'm listing down things about myself, attributes about myself, I would say that I feel good about supporting my community. I have a need even to support my community. How do I know that I am that person? Well, because I make various donations to support my community. Some don't necessarily support my community, St. Jude's and things like that, but I care about children, so I want to donate to St. Jude's. The Bell Project, I've spoken about that on my channel before. I used to donate to Black Lives Matter. We ain't gonna go into that. We not. We know how the story goes. If you don't know, you're gonna have to look that up. It still hurts my heart to even talk about what they say happened, but did it really? I don't even know. But anywho, how do I know that I am this person who contributes to my community? Because I contribute to my community. And so that's how you kind of know as you define yourself who and what you are. And let me say this too. When you're looking to figure out who you are, you know how that saying goes, show me 5 of your friends and I'll tell you who you are. If you're surrounding yourself by 5 busybody heifers, 5 mean women, 5 whatever you want to call them, I'm not going to use the B word at all, but if you surround yourself by 5 of them, give me a second because I can point to the 6th one. You are the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have a tolerance for them, right? And so it's very important that you pay attention to who you surround yourself with. I used to tell my daughter all the time when she was little, and I know she watches my videos, so as I start saying this, she's going to say along with me. Choose your friends wisely. It matters who your friends are. It matters the things that you're hearing and the input that you have. Because let me tell you something, perceptions are true. Opinions, not necessarily. But if you're surrounded by people who have a lot of negative opinions and all you hear is negativity and mess and all of that, pretty soon your perception of the world, even your perception of yourself, is going to be affected by those opinions. Those opinions may not have been true. Deep down, you may honestly be this kind person, this generous person that you aspire to be. But after you hear enough people talking about, I ain't finna get it in, why would I do that? I'm trying to look out for myself. Once you hear that enough, that starts to be your perspective. You know what? Yeah, you're right. You right. You like going back to BLM. Look at that. They talking about they stole all that money. I don't need to donate to that. I don't. Heck no. I don't. Let me. And ain't no telling. St. Jude's might be the same. You know what I mean? It starts to become the way that you see the world. It starts to become your perspective. And if it is your perspective, then it's really true. It's true at least for you. So those opinions that they have may not have been true. But now that you kept hearing those opinions, it becomes your perception. And I'll go further to say, if you've been watching me for a minute, bear with, but there are some vloggers and YouTubers and all of that I used to watch. For me, that's my form of social media. I don't really go on to Instagram and TikTok and all of that. Literally have an account, haven't uploaded a single picture, video, any of that. But anyway, for me, social media is YouTube. And the way I do it or watch it, I say, a lot is I'm a person who likes the chattier versions of vlogging and stuff. I like to hear people talk and okay. And as I'm listening to that, I'm moving about the house, I'm mopping, I'm doing laundry, I'm washing dishes, I'm doing all my chores, right? So I'm listening to it on my earphones so I'm not tethered to my computer. And I'm listening one day earlier last year. Isn't that weird to say last year already? We're into 2024. But anyway, I'm listening one day earlier last year, and a woman is upset because she feels like these vendors haven't paid her what she knows she's worth. And she talks about the number of subscribers she has and how they should have come to her and things like that. And as she's talking, I'm not disagreeing with what she's saying. I just didn't like the message of how she said it. Because she's like, yeah, these MNFers, this, and they better know my worth, and these and these like just full on cuss words. And as I'm moving about my house, I got my earphones on. At one point, I snatched it off because it feels like I've let that into my home. And if you guys knew me in person, you would know I am very selective about my house. I've literally had friends for years. They don't know where I live. Why? Why you need to know where I live? Girl, we meeting up for brunch. We turning up. We having a good time. I'll meet you there. You ain't gotta come here. Because I'm just that selective about my home. Not each and everybody has access to me. I have friends for certain activities, friends for certain conversations, friends, you know what I mean? And so I don't mind using the word friends loosely, but how you are in my heart, for real, like for real friends, that's like family to me. I'm not even kidding. And so here I am, I'm curating all these things in my home. I typically play jazz music throughout the day. I have incense sometimes, love to burn candles so my home smells nice. I keep it pretty well organized and clean and all of those things. And yet through my earphones, I still felt like my home was being violated. And so the advice I've given my daughter for years was some that I wasn't taking. Because I'm gonna be honest, when I hear enough people through YouTube and I get to know them and through their comments, even as I do it, I genuinely feel like some of these people are my friends. They're at least my internet friends. Like there are people that I've made connections with outside of just doing YouTube. You know, there's been an exchange of numbers and, you know, all the things. So to have someone come in my house and do all of that cursing, and it felt like a violation. I didn't like it. And I knew, yeah, I gotta go back through. I gotta tunnel through and unsubscribe to some folks. I gotta limit my accessibility with some people. And I did, I really did. And it wasn't that they had done anything incredibly offensive. You know, I'm talking like they just came through my house with muddy shoes on and violated it in that way. And that's not true. So they didn't do anything incredibly offensive. They hadn't changed one bit. I had. And so some of the things that their adventures and things that I may have found funny were less funny to me. They just didn't suit me anymore. And that's okay. You know, because through my introspection, I know I got a right to change my mind. I get to change what I want to hear, and I get to change who I want to be, and you do too. Like there are some people who really will try to hold you to who you. Okay. You miss high and mighty today. You miss all that today. Yesterday you was in the back smoking weed at the barbecue. Yesterday you was, you know what I mean. So they're gonna try to hold you to that. You have a right to change who you are and who you want to be. You ain't got to stay with the program of what you used to be. As I mentioned in my video before, the only people that want to hold and tether you to that are the people who got something to get out of it. Let them get to getting from someone else. You have the right to change and be who you want. And so for me, I changed. And what entertained me before or earlier in the year didn't entertain me as I moved further into the latter part of the year. And just to give you a brief history on my YouTube journey, I would say, and I don't mean as someone who makes videos, but just even understanding YouTube, it was not, and I still can't believe I didn't know this, but it wasn't until just a couple of years ago, and by a couple, I mean like two. I mean two. It was not until just a couple of years ago that I understood YouTube to be something other than a how-to channel. I literally thought it was all about the how-tos. And for me, I would get on and find out how to put contact paper on a cabinet, how to put contact paper on different materials and things, how to spray paint something, it was always about house-centered things, you know, how to make, oh gosh, what was that I made? It was like hand sanitizer. You take a paper towel roll, you cut it in half, you do it. Anyway, suffice it to say, I really thought YouTube to be something about how-tos. I didn't understand that it was really just also entertaining. I mean, technically it's a search engine, but you get what I'm saying. It was entertaining for me. And so I would just laugh at things that I had in common, like, yep, that too, me too, yeah. Well, believe it or not, I used to be somebody that could cut somebody out with ease. If cussing was Jay, what? I cut you out, be on my way, and hey, and have a blessed day, like whatever. But as I've moved into a different sector of my life, and I just don't use those words as, I don't even want to hear them like that anymore. Again, I have the right to change and shift. And so as I've done that, I find my tolerance of hearing it to be less. My patience for people who do that so much to be less. And that's okay. Like, whatever. And so all of that to say that as I was doing that, I hear that through my headphones, I felt violated. I decided, yeah, I don't want this anymore. This is not what I want around me. And that is okay. If you decide to be that person, that's fine. If you decide you're not going to be that person and you're still okay with that, that's also fine. But I would encourage you to still be careful about the opinions and things that you hear, because again, those opinions become your perception. And while opinions are not necessarily true, perceptions are. I hope I explained that clearly enough. The other thing I want to say about introspection, I just want to make sure that I drive home the point that, again, as we go into this new year and you're trying to be this new you or this improved you, whatever that is, and you've got this idea of who you are and how you know and how you do the checks and balances, I'll call that, be very honest, be excruciatingly honest. And then if you come across something that you don't like about yourself, ask yourself, what is it you're willing to give up? What comforts are you willing to give up? You know, what will you do to become that better version of you? Because I'm gonna tell you, if you're feeling like, dang, I want to be a better this, or I want to better myself in that way, but you don't really change anything, then you're not gonna change anything. It's just, you 12 months from now, you're gonna be that same person wondering, dang, how can I be a better me in 2025? You really are. So you have to figure out, what comforts am I willing to give up? So for me, just speaking health-wise, for example, or exercise-wise even, it's a whole lot easier for me to just lay down and chill and not go to the gym. For me, it's so weird. The hardest part of going to the gym is actually going to the gym. Like, once I get there, I'll do whatever there is to do. Like, one of my things that I enjoy, I'm not a treadmill person. Like that, something about getting on the treadmill, I swear, it just sucked my soul out. I have to watch a video or do something, and even then, I still can't pound out an hour. I got you 20, 25 minutes tops. That's about all I can do. But once I get there, if I have a line dancing class, for example, I'll honestly find myself going into the gym like, I don't even much know why I'm here. I don't feel like doing it. And then they start playing the music and my shoulders bopping, you know. I don't even feel like left foot stomping, and right. And before I know it, I'm actually getting into it. So for me, that's the hardest thing. Breaking through the comfort of staying at home or getting into the car and driving like that's sometimes uncomfortable just thinking about it. But once I do it, I'm able to get through it. So what you have to figure out is what's the comfort that you're willing to break through. And I'm gonna tell you one of the hardest things, because I mentioned that you have to be careful about who you surround yourself with. I think if you have friends, you don't just immediately cut them off. You have a conversation with them, because one of the things I think true friends do is they uplift each other, right? And so if you come to a place in a space where you're feeling like, you know what, I could do this better, I could be a better person if, have that conversation with your friend. Hey friend, you know what, I'm thinking about how I think we could do better than whatever. I think we are better than whatever. Share that, exchange that, and talk with your friend about that, because sometimes your friend might need that too. Just like you need a accountability partner for working out, sometimes you need an accountability partner for leveling up. But then get this part, if your friend doesn't see it the way you see it, if your friend's not yet ready, you might have to make that move by yourself. And that's part of what I was trying to talk about in my video too. You have to be comfortable with that isolation, which sounds like I'm going back and forth on this word comfort. So you have to be comfortable with breaking through your comfort zone, and then you got to be comfortable with being in isolation. But hopefully it makes sense. Run it back if it doesn't. But you might have to be comfortable with being in isolation, because sometimes you'll find the greatest things come out of isolation. One of my comments on my last video was about how 2020 was the year of the come up. It was the year of isolation. And it was so crazy because when we went into 2020, we were talking about, oh, this the year of 2020 vision. We're going to see things clear. We're going to blah, blah, blah. And then along came that, you know what I'm talking about. And so things changed. That is a year that I really learned a lot more about myself. And it really saddens me. Let me just say this. When grown women, you know, you got early 20s, late teens, you got all of that going on. But then you have these women who, you know, I'm a grown woman. I got all this figured out. I'm what I don't need to learn about. I don't need to talk about. And that saddens me, because I'm a woman of a particular age too. And what I find to be true about me is that I always want to be a learner. I want to be a lifelong learner. I always want to improve and better myself. You know what I mean? Like, I've said it before and it's so true. You've heard it before and it's still true. Anything that isn't growing is dead, right? So how could you not want to learn? How could you not want to grow in some aspect? How could you just want to be dead, walking around? That just doesn't make sense to me. And so I say all of that to say, I told you about that wine and roll. Hey, you still watching me now? I warned you, didn't I? But I say all that to say that it's important that you keep growing and learning and exploring and finding out who you are. And doggone, if you know each and everything about yourself, no new circumstance comes up that gives you new food for thought, then I feel sorry for you. You're missing out. You really are. There's so much more to learn and do. I have a variety of friends. I have some who are younger than me, certainly my age, and some who are more mature than me. And I've had some who were older even that I've had to let go of because they were of a mindset that they know everything. That they ain't nobody else got nothing to offer. But I can offer you some. If I can tell you, I can. Yeah, that's not who I go for. If you see me before, you know that I talked briefly about someone that I ran into, and she was like, "I'm a person. I'm just get this off my chest. I'm gonna do this." And my thinking is, and put it where? Where are you gonna put it? Because you ain't finna put it on my chest. You know what I mean? Like it's all about positivity over here, and that's what I want for you. I encourage you to let go of anything and anyone who is not about positivity. I'm speaking of positivity. Could you do something positive for me? If you haven't done it already, could you Could you click the like button if I said something that resonated with you? It would help me very much, and I truly appreciate it. But anyway, after that commercial interruption, let me get back to my video. It's important, though, that you keep... sometimes I gotta laugh at myself. I don't know what's wrong with me. I really don't. But it's important that you keep positivity around you, those positive opinions and things like that. Because again, those opinions, if you hear them enough, can become your perception. It can really become how you see the world. And it's the perception that's true. When you perceive yourself to be a certain way, you perceive yourself to be a certain person, you will carry yourself in that way. And as you carry yourself in that way, other people will perceive you in that way too. That's how it becomes the truth. So it goes both ways though. It's a double-edged sword. So if you perceive yourself to be a positive, wonderful, enlightened person who reads, how do you know that's going to that? I'm a positive person. I know good things. I learn things. How do you know? Well, because I do this. I read. I listen to positive podcasts. I speak with positive people. You know what I mean? That's why that thing is important. So as you perceive yourself to be this positive person and you carry yourself in that positive light, people will see that. They'll respect that. They may not like it. They may buck it at first. They may test it. For sure, they're going to test it. You know, I can't remember, is it a Bible quote or just a regular quote? But however it goes, the saying is, whatever you say you are in life will be tested. And so, yeah, it's going to be tested. Are you going to stand strong on it? Are you? And then it matters too, even how you talk to yourself. You know, if you're sitting around saying, I'm a person who tries to be positive. I'm somebody who tries to, no, don't, it ain't no try to. Say that you are. Say that you are that thing that you claim to be. You know, you've done the introspection. You've known that this is what you want to do. You know the things that you need to do in order to be that person. So why are you just saying, I'm trying to be? No, forget about that. You are. You are that person. You are that kind person. You are that generous person. You are that intelligent person. Carry yourself in that way. And like I said, it's a double-edged sword, because if you say otherwise, I'm trying to be whatever. People are going to pick up on that too. Are you trying it? Okay, well, we're going to try you. We're going to see how true that is for you. And that's going to happen to you time and again. People are always looking. It's so sad to say, but a lot of times people don't feel higher or better or elevated about themselves unless they pulled someone else down. Don't be the person they pull down. We over here, we're doing our introspection. We're making our journal list. We're understanding what it is we need to do. We're improving to make sure that we're a happy new you. So don't be that person that they're pulling down. Be selective. Be selective about who you surround yourself with. Be selective about the opinions and things that you allow into your mindset, because that is going to truly affect your perception. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say I'm going to call it video 1 of, what did I say, Happy New You? That is going to be my series. And again, if you hit the like button, that tells me that I am onto something that you want to hear more of, and I hope so. If you haven't already subscribed, I strongly encourage you to do so. I actually think you're going to like it here. In the meantime, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my video. Again, I don't take it for granted. You could be doing anything else, anywhere else. But whatever it is, I hope it's not negative. I hope it's something else that's also positive. And with that said, take care.